Chukwu ka ị na-abata, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Anya bịawa ịsọpụrụ gị ugbu a, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Chukwu nna n'ụlọ gị ka ị na-akpọ gị, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Otito na-adịrị gị.
Ndewo, ndewo. Ekele dịrị Chineke. We have seen another day. Isn't that wonderful? That is definitely a reason to be grateful. Ebe ọbụla unu niile nọ, ihe ọbụla unu kpatara aka ka ọ gaa ogunzu, wherever you are, let everything that you touch today, from hence, if you haven't already achieved everything you want, from hence, everything you touch shall turn into gold. That is your destiny. Even if you don't know that, that is your destiny. Welcome to Libations. I'm Ukodibio Chwaja, Dr. Owa Onyoha Osimiri. It is my honor and pleasure to be your host, as always, on this wonderful show. It is my pleasure to introduce to you, for those you don't know, and those, of course, who do know, I'd like to bring forth my co-host, Dibia Ochwaja, Yudi Onyoha. Yudi Ndewo.
Yeah, guys, yeah, okay, man.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good. I'm excited. An exciting show. So much to talk about. So much information to lay out there, and cause people to think a little bit and think differently about leadership and what it entails and what it is that Africa actually needs, as opposed to what we want. Yeah.
Well, today we're pouring libations, and I like to tell people to remember what libations is. It's prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's prayer. It's African way of praying, of giving thanks to the Most High, Chineke. And, Chineke is Igbo for the male energy and female, and the masculine and feminine energy of the Creator, Chi. But, other people have different names for Chineke. Some people call, in Ghana, Ghanaians call it Nyami. Then in Hausa is Ubangiji. In Yoruba is Oludumare. Tamona Jinyami Katonda Nyemi Nkosi. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but it's the same thing. It's the same Creator that we seek.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I call Chineke, if I say Chineke, I'm saying the same thing you're saying. I'm just saying it in my language,
Yep.
And I want to welcome everyone. And, so many people are sick today. So many people are sick. I know that my two daughters are not feeling very well. Dora and Kelena, they're not feeling very well. So, we offer prayer for them, in hope that they will be well. And so as we pour libations today, I want them to know that we are also thinking about them. We're thinking about everybody out here who's suffering for whatever reason. Either you're sick or you've lost your job or wherever that may be, or you're seeking work. We actually hope and pray that
take your COVID shots if it's available to you.
Yeah.
We're going to push that. We're going to talk to folks about that stuff.
You have people who are so anti that.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is it's important to remember that you're not taking the shots just for yourself. You're also taking the shots to to protect others. But, as far as I'm concerned, that's what I've done. And
I have too.
Other people have their prerogatives, and you can argue forever because there's so much misinformation out there.
Yeah.
And I just hope that people make the right decisions, Ukuna Child says, Doctor, you are looking good. Thank you, Ukuna. I am looking good.
Yeah, I just read his comments too. Udo Dirige, man.
I want people to know why I wear red and black when we pour libations. This is important for them to know. The red signifies all the bloodshed that we as African people have experienced all over the world. The black is for Mother Africa, for the earth that you find everywhere, the dark earth, and for the black continent and people of African descent. And let's make no mistake about it. Chiism is not just for black people. It's for the world. This is a global
universal.
World. It's universal.
Yes.
And what we do is we want to let people know that we too know God. And Adora is reminding us that she's had her shots as well. And once you believe in science, you do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people don't believe in science, and then there's so many things that have happened in our world, to people as it pertains to shots and things of that nature. So people are a little bit skeptical.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I can understand
that.
Yeah,
but I just understand. I also understand that if we want to get back to normal life, we really, really must do what the scientists are saying for us to do. I not like you did now. You can visit my house. You don't have to wear a mask to visit me.
I'm taking both of them.
And I've got my two and my children. Everybody can now interact without wearing masks. That's very, very important. Let's see. Ukuna Charles likes this song.
Which one?
We have so many.
There we go.
So it's very meaningful and very touchy, and indeed it is. Indeed it is. So we are going to get started today. Again, let me welcome Ukuna Charles Adonha Ubionyoha. Let's see, Nosferatu, and everyone else, wherever you are, when you join us, and when as soon as you can join us, wherever you are, we wish you nothing but the best. It is a very, very important note to make today, that if you pour libations, if you're at home and you have maybe a small plant, just get a little water, put the plant next to you as we pour libations. And some people just like to put it in some kind of container, pour water into the container. You can do that as well. So I am going to now go to the start of our program, pouring libations, and then we'll have discussions, as Ochoaja has said. Dibia Ochoaja has said earlier, and that is that we are going to be talking about leadership. When you have Chineke in you, when you have divine mind, you should think divinely, and that should influence how you do your work. Ozichuku. Any job that we do, we are actually doing Chineke's work. So it depends on how we are spiritually. That guides, our activities. Many of our leaders are not doing a good job in Africa. And so we're going to talk about that. And so at this time, I am going to start libations. And I remind you again, if you do have if you have a receptacle or you have a plant and water, some people use water, pour libations along with us. But I just want to remind you that libations has no limitations. Praying and asking God for things you want, or giving thanks to God and the ancestors, it has nothing to do whatsoever with your gender. You can be a man and pour libations. You can be a woman and pour libations. My father, on your heart, made that clear to me, that I have the right as a priest. You did?
Of course.
Pour libations. Women in Africa pour libations. Women in Christian churches, they do prayer. Prayer is libations. And in other churches, so there's nothing different that we're doing here.
I think there's a misunderstanding when you talk about libations. People really don't understand what it is. They think it's this man, or should I say, male-dominated spiritual practice.
No,
right?
no.
You can't. It's like saying that only men are supposed to pray.
Can pray. Yeah.
You can't do that. You
So
know,
when you,
it's a misunderstanding, and it's unfortunate, but that's what education is all about. So
yeah,
hopefully,
and we
we'll
have
be
to
able to educate some people.
we have to
Yeah.
be progressive in our minds. You cannot demand progress and you're stuck in the past.
Well, here's what it is
let your
too.
mind catch up
Yeah,
with.
you're right about that. But libation is just part of prayer process that is gender neutral from the dawn of time till today, and it's going to be the same way tomorrow.
That's right.
Period.
So it's important to know that. And before I get started, let me just remind you, I started to talk about it, why I wear this every time we pour libations. It's a reminder as a priest that we as a people have shed a lot of blood, and we need to be reminded that nothing that has come to us has come easily. We've always fought through the centuries. We'll have to continue to fight, never give up, and then to respect our people, the color, respect it, honor it. That's what Chineke blessed us with. And also the gold is our golden past. Contrary to what they tell us, African people brought civilization to the world. We need to remember that, and we need to honor that. And we have golden opportunities ahead of us, and we must not give that away. And so it is.
Yes,
So this is a pre-recorded libations. And for those of you who have seen it, good for you. For those who haven't, we're going to go through this process. Again, please be prepared to pour libations, and we will be right back. Afrunge, I see you. I hope you see me. As I pour libations today, I'm going to pour it in this receptacle. And I'm going to use water, not wine, not rice, not honey. These are possible items I could use to pour libations. Some things that you can sprinkle on the ground, you can pour on the ground. I pour libations today, first and foremost, in the glorious name of Chineke. Chi, the male energy, masculine energy of the Creator, and Eke, the feminine energy of the Creator. I pour libations and I say, Ise. Ise means, and so it is in Igbo Nigerian language. I pour libations to the four winds, to east, west, north, and south. I say Ise. I pour libations in honor of the great ancestors, the great grandmothers, the great grandfathers. Ise. I pour libations and ask for their wisdom to continue to flow through me, accessible through the power of my spirit. He say, I pour libations today in honor of all that is good in the universe, the sun, the moon, the wind, the oceans, everything that gives us life, everything that supports life on earth. I pour libations in their honor. I pour libations and call upon the Creator in all the names that we use to call upon the Creator. Chineke, Olodumare, Kamuna, Jinyami, Katonda, Inyemi, Nkosi, Uvuzilele. God has a different name in different tongues. Call upon Chineke. We call upon you today. We ask for good health. We ask for high moral quality. We have asked for peace and love, which is within the personal ability of each and every one of us. We call upon the spirit of those individuals that have made it to the ripe old age of 80, because we realize that we reincarnate. We have 7 opportunities to get our lives right. So for those who have made it to the age of 80, we pour libations today and call upon their names. We pour libations in honor of those who are still on their journey, who have not made it to age 80. We wish them well wherever they are. We call upon the spirit of those yet unborn, and we ask that when they come into this earth, that they will inherit nothing but the goodness that we ourselves have put in front of them, that we have done to ensure that they live a fruitful and healthy life. We call upon the spirit of our personal ancestors, and I ask you this time to call upon your ancestors. Mungu maboso, ugiwonsa, come on your hand. Call upon my mother who has become an ancestor. Musa, Ngozi Musa, Noha, Ngozi Musa, Onyoha. I call upon you today, your journey. May your journey be bright. You made it to the right old age of 91. We want you to be with us to continue your journey. But your journey is now, you have elevated to ancestorhood. So we ask you to continue to watch over us, to protect us from all evil. Stay in front of us, behind us, beside us. Anything that we touch, may it turn into gold. Help us to see any dangers in front of us. Help us to see any dangers anywhere around us. I ask all of you to please call upon the names of your ancestors. Call them, because if you don't, that means that they didn't exist, and that means you certainly don't exist. So I call upon your ancestors. Ise, 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 Ise. I will ask you to make noise for the ancestors. Make noise for the ancestors. Please make noise for the ancestors, because when you make noise for the ancestors, you acknowledge them, you let them know that you still have their names on your tongue. You acknowledge them, you let them know that they still matter. You acknowledge them by letting them know that you appreciate the fact that they live. Thank you, Chineke, for this wonderful opportunity that you've given us, for breath, for the ability to walk, for the ability to eat, for the ability to do all those things that sometimes we take for granted, but we shouldn't. And so I am going to end my libations with a famous libation song. Ogeke Chineke kama, chere ya n'ụmọbụrụ na oge ahụ dị anya, chere ya ekwedula ka obi gị daa mba, chere ya n'mgbe oge ruru, ọ ga-abịa kwa, chere ya Chukwu nke igwe ọ na-echeta gị, chere ya ọ dịghị mgbe ọ na-echefu gị, chere ya n'ezie n'ihe banyere gị, ha niile na-emetụ Chineke n'obi, chere oge ya. Chineke's time is always the best. Sometimes it seems like your blessings are taking too long coming. Just be patient. Know that when the time is right, the Most High, the noble ancestors will come forward with what your needs are and bless you more than you can even ever imagine. They will bless you. They will bless you. You're already blessed. Know it, believe it, and act it. And so it is. I say, Ise, Ise. And finally, I ask you to call your names. Wherever you are, call your name. Because someday you want to be an ancestor. You want to get to be the age of 80. So when you put your name out there in the universe will respond and will help you to achieve ancestorhood. You keep living and keep living, keep living. Yagazie, ofo, Ise. And so it is. And so it is. I take some water, I sprinkle on the floor, I sprinkle on myself, and I will take some of this water and I'll sprinkle all around me just to cool the temperature, to remove anything in my path that will do me any harm. And so it is. Yakazie, I see you. I hope you see me. And so it is.
That was powerful.
Yakazie, I see you, whoever you are, your spiritual path, whatever that means.
Any negativity that I may have had this morning, after that libation, I feel rejuvenated, reinvigorated, and I'm ready to tackle the world. It's been a rough week, and I think tomorrow, Monday, is going to be better than yesterday.
It is. It is. It is. So our conversation today is a very interesting one, because we are dealing with leadership. I have some comments that some individuals have already made. Before I get to them, I just want to say this about African leadership. Our discussion is not to belittle every African leader, because that would be wrong. There are certainly a lot of them making very good effort to change our conditions in the world, the conditions in Africa. Like, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I certainly, Rwanda is doing such, the president of Rwanda is really doing a marvelous job to have turned that country around to what it is today, an exemplary country, nation, where people are working together. Remember, they were all divided in the past, but they're working together now. You see, we have constantly, Africans are having these leadership conferences every year. It goes on and on and on and on. Whatever they discussed last year, whenever that is the same thing that will be discussed again. And it's never solved. These are the kinds of things that they discuss. Some of the things they say Africa needs. Peace. What kind of leadership are in place to provide peace to African nations? Economic development. Yes, Africa certainly needs that. But who do we have in place that's promoting that? We want good education for our children, the future leaders of Africa. Who are we putting in place to chair that direction, that objective? We want healthy nations. We want our people to be free of malaria, free of all the diseases that are found on the continent. Who is in charge doing that for the African people? We want to talk about the empowerment of women. Who is promoting that? The problem is that our leaders talk about what they want for the continent, but we don't have people in office to promote them. They don't even assess themselves to see what they talked about last time, has it materialized? They don't assess each other to see if what they said they were going to do, each one of them, are they doing it? Are they doing it? You are the president of Gambia. How is peace reigning in your nation? You're the president of Nigeria. Do we have peace in Nigeria? But next year you'll go to the next meeting and we'll research it again. You're the president of Ghana. Excuse me, I cannot. Okay. All right. You see what I'm saying? So we have all these desires for the continent, but the leaders are not assessing themselves to see if what they talked about last time is taking place. So that is why it's repeating and repeating and repeating. Nobody is being held accountable. So that's what we want to talk about today. Adorha, Obionyoha, said that the concept of real leadership is alien to modern African electorate, as he is discouraged and alienated from decision-making process, which is very true. So this begs this conversation. Do we have leaders we want or leaders we need? Sometimes we elect leaders based on their appearance, their fact that they can speak well, their flamboyance, they have money. Those are leaders we want, but not necessarily leaders we need. A good leader may be short and fat and ugly. That's nothing to do with appearances. But if he's doing what he's supposed to do, then that's the leadership that we need. We as African people cannot complain about our leadership when we are electing people we want personally, not people we need. So I'm going to invite you to, first of all, comment on what Adorha has said. What passes for leadership is any individual that facilitates, this is another comment she's made. What passes for leadership is an individual that facilitates corruption and wastage of the country's resources. And that's what I had said earlier. What we want as opposed to what we need. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, this is really deep. There's so many facets, so many areas to this question that need to be explored so that people have a really good understanding of the plight of Africa when it comes to leadership. We don't have to, define what leadership is, because it can mean a whole bunch of stuff. But what we need to first do is address the way the society runs, the way the society handles its business, the way people see things in the society. And in Africa in general, there are two ways that you could look at, you could do things or do business or try to, resurrect the kind of leadership that Africa needs. First of all, you have to look at the mindset of the people. Are we proactive in trying to resolve our issues, or are we reactive? Right now in Africa, the corruption and all that stuff are all reactive processes, right? To address your present economic need, whatever that may be. So a lot of people that you have in leadership today, for example, in their 40s, 30s, most of them have never experienced what good leadership quality looks like, right? People born in the 80s, that are in their 40s now, a lot of them are in leadership positions and all that kind of stuff, don't have anything to compare.
That's right.
When it comes to leadership, what is great leadership and what is bad leadership? To them, what's important is your own personal prosperity, right?
Yes.
Okay. The old African
corruption Obi's talking about.
Yeah, that's the way the society has been, socialized to think. So most people from the young, when they're looking at somebody, when you define success, what do you define success as? It's a big house, a big car. For the male, how many women you can attract with all the money that you make, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like you get the money and then you help to develop some kind of infrastructure or help, build a school or do some of those things that are part of the need of a society. You just don't get involved in that, right? Mm-hmm. So most of the way we do business in Africa is reactionary, right? Mm-hmm. You're trying to address present day economic situations as opposed to being proactive to address, because being proactive is addressing the future needs of the society. And that's not where we are right now. Okay, that's one aspect of it. Then the other aspect of it is this notion, like in Western political, culture, or at least they try to convince you that there's a separation of church and state. There has never been a separation of church and state. That has never existed. American democracy and Western democracy of separating church and state is just an experiment. Even China, that doesn't have a centralized state religion, still maintains its unity and cohesiveness based on its traditions and culture and its spirituality. Whether they're out there drumming it out to the world and making noise about it, like the Christians and the Muslims and all that stuff do, or not, the society is controlled by certain spiritual tenets, certain behavioral taboos that allow them to be cohesive and relate to one another in a way where the interest of the community comes first before anything else. Even though you have leadership that is, some of them are corrupt, you could call them that. Leadership is mean, there's a level of wickedness that goes along with how they do business. But in the end, it is the collective interest of China that is more important than anything else. How you go about achieving it is a different story altogether. So that's one aspect of it. Then another aspect is, what kind of educational system do you have in Africa that educates the people and creates a Pan-African mindset, right? Pan-Africanism, of course, as you all know, promotes unity among Africans, both in diaspora and in the homeland. And there's a certain spiritual part of this equation that needs to be addressed, right? To unite the people, how do you unite the people? You unite the people either stressing the same common religion or spirituality. People are united based on a common language, right? Yes. Language, spirituality, then of course your skin pigmentation.
Yes.
That's how you unite people. If you can address all these, the Jews, for example, share a common language, they share a common religion. And that's why they're very united globally. Jews in America, Jews in Europe, Jews in Asia, Jews in Africa, wherever the Jews are, the central focus is Israel. They have a homeland. They have some place where they could go, where they can relate, some place they could call ours. Africa already has that, the continent itself, right? Let's not address the boundaries that were created by the colonizers, Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon. These are all artificial boundaries and all that kind of stuff. We like you mentioned earlier, we had the Organization of African Unity, blah, 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 blah. But those guys weren't really doing anything because, number one, there was no Pan-African mindset. Number two, they don't understand the idea of religion and state. Because if they understood the idea of religion and state, then you know that you cannot have a state functioning cohesively if the religion is foreign to it. Not stressing African religion or spirituality, whichever one it might be. That has to be stressed. Then the last component is trying to understand what we need in Africa. By the way, the points that I just mentioned earlier are all part of the need in Africa. And then you talk about the difference between need and the difference need and want. Want is a desire. You just desire something.
That's
right? It could be a car, it could be a gold chain and all that. I mean, we don't need gold chains to be successful in Africa. That's not what Africa needs. What we need, a need is something that you require, something that is needed, like food, water, right? Good government, good education. Specifically, good educational system that educates the public, the community, the citizens to be, number one, righteous in their behavior, and number two, to understand that the success of the community is paramount to individual success. If the community is successful, the individual pretty much, as long as you work hard, you're more destined to achieve some success in your life as long as the community or the country provides the infrastructure that can help sustain or elevate you as an individual. Once those needs are met and you're able to elevate yourself into a level of economic prowess that allows you to take care of yourself and your family and the poor in the community, now you could start addressing your personal wants. Maybe I want a big house now. Maybe I want this. Maybe I want that. Whatever it is that those wants may entail, then you could start addressing it based on the larger picture of making sure that the needs of the community is met. If the needs of the community is met, your personal need is met as well.
That's right.
Then you can talk about a want.
Yes.
So unless we're able to kind of compartmentalize leadership, understand what it entails, understand the political structure of Pan-Africanism, be able to address political systems that is based on African spirituality, because there's no Pan-Africanism without the spiritual component.
But here's the problem with African spirituality. The problem is that our people don't see African spirituality on the world stage. They demean it by saying other. It's not significant. Do you understand? What is significant is foreign religions to them, you see. And so they are, as you indicated earlier, they are using ideas, processes
that are foreign.
Principalities, everything that's foreign to them. His Holiness wrote a book, and I really intended to bring that book out here. Peerism, African system of leadership. Peerism, African system of leadership. You can look it up on Amazon.com. Because it does take into consideration the African spiritual way of life as one of the conditions necessary for leadership.
Absolutely.
Because one of our mantra, if I may use that expression in African spirituality, is Madubuchibeya. And that's Igbo. Anyway, I'm sure other African spiritual traditions have their own terminology for what I just said. That means we are God to each other. And the only way that you serve God, Chineke, Oludumare, whatever you call the creator, is to serve humanity, to serve your fellow human being, your fellow man. This is how, if you will bear that in mind, then your age group, right? Because it's based on age grade system of governance, right? All of them bear that in mind. We are God to each other.
Yeah.
So our role is to respect each other, work for each other as a means or as a way of honoring the Creator. You see what I'm saying? When you are selfish and you think it's all about you, that's because that's your spiritual philosophy that you have adopted that has nothing to do with the African system of honoring each other and the Creator, right? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I am so happy that you brought that point out. I'm an avid believer in comparative analysis, right? I feel that to educate the people, or to educate people, they need to really understand how other communities function and look at the way they function, compare it to how other communities function, so that they could have a better understanding of what we're talking about, a better understanding of what Africa needs, right? In ancient cultures in Europe, Viking culture is called the Norse culture. There was never, and I'm talking about ancient, a few thousand years ago, into hundreds of years ago, there was never separation between church and state. Everything that the Vikings did, both economically and politically, was to honor Odin, the Norse god, the god of all the gods, Thor, Loki, and what have you. And that was part of their economic and political system. Then you talk about Christianism. From its inception, Christ made kings. The Pope made kings. There was no separation of church and state. The rules of governing came from Christian culture and influenced Europe, particularly when Constantine became emperor. Before Constantine, pagan religion played a significant role in the political system of the Romans. You talk about the Roman gods, right? You talk about Zeus, Poseidon, and what have you. All these different gods. Go to any culture, you go to Japan, it is Shintoism. Shintoism was part of the political history and culture of the Japanese. You go to China, Taoism, Buddhism. Go to South America, Aztec religions, sacrifices, whatever it is that they did on the spiritual level directly influenced the political system. And all these different political systems were influenced by different political cultures from different parts of the world. In ancient Africa, our local political system, the age-grade system of government, was influenced by our culture, by our traditional spirituality before the Europeans came to Africa with the Bible and the Quran. We left that alone. No other culture have left their culture alone. No other culture has decided that their cultural or spiritual culture is not important in their political system. We are the only ones that have jettisoned everything that is primordial to us, right, and we have replaced it with something else. And now we're running around the desert waiting for rain.
Look, I've got something here. Parenting or age grade system of government for Nigeria. Yeah. This was a recommendation made by Chief K. Ohanyoha. But I think I want to read why this book was important. 10 years ago, and in 1975, the then head of state, His Excellency Brigadier Murtala Mohammed, appointed a Nigerian Constitution drafting committee within a political program of his Supreme Military Council, which set October 1, 1979 as target date for returning Nigeria to civilian rule. On October 18th, 1975, he inaugurated the Constitution Drafting Committee and gave the members guidelines. And appreciating the magnitude and complexities of the assignment, the members of the committee, in their turn, thought that constitution making for Nigeria should be every man's business. and invited every Nigerian who had any idea of what Nigeria's constitution should be to send a memo on his or her thoughts to them. This is what His Holiness submitted to them. Okay? Taking into consideration that the ballot box that we have been using have been creating so much confusion and frustration, it has not worked. Can you say that it's working? You can't say that it's working. But if you look at the age grade system,
and they were warned.
And we were warned. The age grade system of governance talks about the fact that eligible members of an age grade are responsible for governance of the community. All right. And it is imperative that the members of that community, of that age grade, are honest, hardworking, and follow guidelines as instructed, because if they mess up, it is that age group, not the individual, but that age group that's held responsible. So that governance is not a me thing. Exactly. Governance is is a communalism.
Community.
The community.
Communal in nature.
Communal. I want to share something with you right quick. I moved into this new neighborhood, right? You know, sometimes people move in and they don't do what they're supposed to do, right? They don't keep up their property, and it's such a beautiful place. But there's always that one person or two people that don't do what everyone else is doing. So everybody's complaining. I have a gentleman that will come up and down the street and complain about the house. You know, he's not doing what he's supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, governance is communal. It's not an individual thing. We, as a community on the street, we're going to have a cleanup day. Or we're going to have a cleanup day where all of us will come together and we will clean our street, reclaiming our street, right? So that everybody has to come out on that day. You know, it's not mandatory, but everybody's going to come and we're going to sweep the street all the way from one end of the street to the other. It's next Saturday, UD. People have, and I made flyers and I took it to every home and told them what we're going to do to make this street a model street. Yeah. Everybody kept coming to me. Oh, this is great. Many people, not everybody. This is wonderful. What do you need? What do you want us to bring? What can we do? This I told them what it says on the flyer, what you should bring. Now, the program is not till Saturday. People are already cleaning up. You know why? Because nobody wants to be singled out.
Absolutely. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've never seen so much cleaning going on. I mean, you can eat off our street now.
Listen, stuff. Go ahead.
But I say this to you. That's the same concept of age grade system of governance.
Yes.
It is a communal thing. Don't complain about what one person is doing. We all put pressure on performance.
Yeah, and it's part of that Pan-African mindset.
That's it.
It's Pan-African thinking. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not talking about a concept that is foreign or something that is new. All it's doing is taking what has always been part of our DNA and synthesizing it for the 20th and 21st century. Listen, talking about Pan-African mindset, Rwanda, of course, is very encouraging. There are two other countries that have followed suit. One is Senegal, and the other one is Cameroon. These people are doing things that are straight up African in the way they do. Right now, the number one national sport, before I even start talking about Akon, trying to build Akon City based on that pride of being an African, saying that Senegal is going to be, or Dakar, Akon City is going to be the next Dubai. The number one sport in Senegal is their traditional wrestling. And champions over there make over $100,000. Some of them have left there and gone into MMA and are now fighting in other countries using Senegalese wrestling or martial arts, to influence MMA all over the world. That is the number one sport over there. They pack stadiums, 100,000 people cheering the traditional wrestling. It has become a tourist attraction. People come from all over the world. It helps to build the economic base for the country. Tourism. Tourism is based on culture, tradition, and history, spirituality, and then of course geography. That's what tourism is all about. Senegal has tapped into the African aspect of it. They have a big statue. The biggest statue in Africa is 160 feet. People traveling all over the world. They have created things from a Pan-African mindset to help to foster and promote a great economic system for the country. Just like you said, it is not an individual thing, and people can follow suit, right? As the example you just gave. If we follow some of the example that Senegal and Rwanda is, some of the things that they're doing right now to shore up their country. If we have the mindset as your neighbors that we don't want to be singled out as a country of unsuccessful or stupid idiots that don't want to participate to clean up the street, sometimes I think we need to look for an example, and there are several countries in Africa that are setting that example. Rwanda is 1. Cameroon is 2. Senegal is 3. We should start looking at some of what these people are doing. 30% of the world resources come from Africa. We have the most arid land in Africa, in the world. The most diverse culture in the world is African. And not only that, even the global African culture from diasporan Africans, when you put that into the mix, we are more diverse than any other race in the world. And this diversity means not one thing and one thing only. Tourist economy. Tourism alone in Africa, if promoted correctly, will employ millions of people, give rise to other industries. We have an educated class in Africa. Unfortunately, they're not in Africa anymore. They're all in diaspora because we have not.
You're talking about if people have communal thinking.
Exactly.
We don't have that. We don't have it. We don't have that mindset. And it may offend some people. I don't want to talk about what people have done to us. I'm talking about what we continue to allow to be done to us. The world, I say it all the time. The world is a Serengeti.
Yep.
Everybody's trying to survive.
It's always been that way.
Ask yourself, do I want to survive? Do Africans really want to survive? If our leaders are all focused on self-gratification, on money, using our resources, as Ado Obi has said, do you understand? Then we will never achieve anything. Some of the leaders may do the right things, but we as Africans, we need to dissect what it means to have a want and a need.
Yep.
If there's a need, don't put somebody you want there because of what your personal wants are. You have to vote for people who will meet the requirements,
the needs of a country,
the needs of the whole. Now, somebody challenged me, and I admit I was challenged by an individual who said, it is not always the individuals who vote that cause the problem. It is after they voted, then the leaders bribe people, they switch the votes and all that sort of thing. Sort of what's they're trying to do here in the United States. That's not working. Thank you, Chineke. But the bottom line, however, is if we fight enough, I think we're too passive as a people in Africa. We're very passive.
You have to hold your leadership responsible and insist upon it. That's the only way you're going to affect change.
And their leadership, they're not bad people. If you don't hold them to account, they'll get away with it. It's like a child who throws temper tantrum and you ignore him. He's going to keep throwing it and throwing it until he gets your attention. You understand? But if you let that child know, I'm not going to put up with that. Go to your room. You don't have to be here making all that noise. I don't have to put up with it. It's the same thing. If your leaders are not doing what they're supposed to do, hold them to account. Demand that they do better. If you look at the election that happened recently in the United States, the new president got to be president because the people held the old one to account. They chose somebody to meet their needs, not somebody some people want. We like people who grease our palms, people who give us contract. So we do for them, and then we go and tell them, all right, I did this, and then, you're going to give me this contract.
It's
And
an individual thing.
Yeah, it's an individual thing. And then when they get the contract, they don't use it for the betterment of society, of the whole society. Let me just use Nigeria now. The most powerful nation in the world. The most powerful. Our children have no jobs. The roads are so awful. And yet, every state is getting funds. I saw a bridge that was built supposedly with $5 billion, 5 billion naira, and it's not but a few sticks stitched together. Now, if you walk on the bridge, it's going like that was that was a 5 billion naira.
It's one of those sites. Let me say this right quick, okay, Mother Ogile. Listen, we've adopted a foreign system of governing, right?
Yeah.
But the problem with adopting it is we didn't adopt it all the way. And let me explain. You got a little bit of something, but you didn't add it to anything that is culturally relevant to you. So what you got is, it's like you're trying to build a bridge across a river. You build the bridge halfway, and then you stop. Now, any car that drives to the part that you stopped the construction is going to fall into that river. So let me explain what I mean by that. We have a president in Nigeria and in most African countries. But I'm going to use Nigeria as an example because we are supposed to be the most populous and the most economically powerful, not militarily, but economically powerful nation in the world. If you look at the gross national product. We have a president, we have a vice president, we have a Senate, we have a House of Representatives. Then we have the state governors. Then each state governor has a vice governor. And after the vice governor, you have the state House of Rep, you have the state Senate. We borrowed all that stuff. Then we have our local governments, which is just like county governments over here. Then you have the city and all that. You have that structure in place. But then when it comes to doing business, for example, you don't have a local police.
No.
You have to depend on the federal police to do something about that. Those police stations in Nkporo, those police people in Nkporo don't work for the county. They don't work for Nkporo. Nkporo doesn't have a police station of his own. Somebody set it up there. So you build a bridge halfway, then you stop there. You didn't do anything else with it. Education is the key, right? You have to have the right kind of leadership that will educate the masses. Right now, Senegal, they're getting educated over there. Rwanda, same thing. You have to have citizens that understand what their needs are. That way, they're able to put pressure on their leadership, to take care of their needs. It's not just a question of, remember, the guy you just appointed as a leader was a citizen, ignorant, just like yourself.
That's right.
Right? And through his 40 years or 45 years of life, he's never seen leadership that did anything good for the masses. The only kind of leadership that they all knew was leadership that promoted your individual success, nothing to do with the community success. Not understanding that if the community is successful, it automatically filters into opportunity for everybody to make it within a community that has the necessary infrastructure that will enable you to rise from the ashes and into the light. So this guy goes up there. Now you're wishing you are just like this guy. Oh, he made it. He went up there just so that he could be in a position of power, so that when he gets the budget from the federal government, he could put most of it in his pocket. We don't collect taxes. We have the same system. The reason why I'm saying this, we have the same system as the United States. But income, revenue is generated locally. The city generates its own taxes, generates its own revenue. The county generates its own taxes, generates its own revenue. The state generates its own taxes, generates its own revenue, and the federal government generates their own taxes and its own revenue. Nigeria, from the local people, depend on allocation from the federal government. So the allocation is made at the top. The president puts some of that money in his pocket. The vice president puts some of that money in their pocket. They give money to the Senate and members of the House. Then what's left goes to the state. Then when the state gets it, the governor puts some money in his pocket. The vice governor puts money in his pocket. Then the state senate and the state house put money in their pocket. Then they get it to the local government. Then the local government puts money in their pocket. By the time it gets to the people, the kids ain't afraid of the parents no more.
That's right.
You understand? That's what's happening. We borrowed a system of government that actually promotes corruption and lacks the kind of leadership that we need. It becomes an avenue for people to enrich themselves. These people are like the mafia. And once they're entrenched, they ain't going anywhere.
Once you put, and the thing about it that we don't understand is, because we're not holding our leaders to account, we don't know how much we as a people have. And the fact that many people don't pay taxes, right? You really can't even demand anything because you're not putting any money in there,
no,
which you should be. So for that reason, many of us say, well, we see the government doing for us as doing us a favor.
You gotta collect taxes.
What we have contributed, to the whole thing. So I'm a firm believer that if we will be guided by the African principles, spiritual principles of Madu Buchibea, I am God to my fellow man, then my mindset would be, when I get in office, I do what I do, not for me, but for the community. And then the other thing our leaders don't understand, if you do a good job and the community grows and does well, you don't have to worry about them voting you back in. They will vote you.
It's automatic.
The reason why every year we are pouring money, we're acting crazy trying to be back in office, is because they don't have anything to show. They don't. They talk about it. If they plant one tree, then their conversation hovers around that one tree. See, I planted the tree for you. Don't you go under there and take shade from the sun? Nothing really significant that changes the lives of the people. Just a few little this, that, and the other. So there's the misconception that, we built a secretariat. Who's going to be working there? The little man? No, we built this, we built that. What makes a good leader, in my opinion, is that leader who is guided by a spiritual philosophy of doing good for humanity on behalf of the Creator. That is the mindset that you need to be a good leader. It's not about you. I don't care what you acquire. You're not taking it to the grave. You're not. Whatever you acquire, even if you acquire it and give it all to your children are not taking it to the grave. But your name lives as a leader if you have done significant work.
Forever within that community. Forever.
So I think it's important that we first of all, as African people, we also need to begin to embrace. People get offended when you tell them, embrace your spirituality. When one thing is not working, you got to try something different. It doesn't mean anything that you're stuck in something that's not working. If you don't like the job you're working in and it only pays you $10 an hour, find some, and it's not paying your bills, get something that pays $15. Keep trying. Don't be stuck. We don't need to be stuck with leaders who are not helping us. So when it's time again, I was watching the news the other day, they've already started campaigning for 2023. I said, well, what have we done in 2021?
It's economics.
Poor security. People are scared. People are being harmed. So to what degree have you helped? And that's what I said earlier about assessing. Leaders should assess the performance of current leaders. African leaders must assess the performance of their co-leaders to ensure that they have the right to get back in office.
Ogele.
Let them know it.
Yeah, Ogele, in America here, we talk a lot about police brutality.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about it.
Yeah.
Then when we talk about police brutality and we see a lot of black folks getting shot for nothing, killed, people say, well, all cops aren't like that. They're very good cops, which I believe they're very good cops. But where are they? Because when the bad cop is putting the screws in you, I never see a good cop around there to tell the bad cop, hey, man, you can't do this. It's wrong. Stop it. It is the same thing in Africa. When you see somebody doing bad, instead of saying, hey, man, this is not what Africa needs, what you say is, well, how do I get a piece of the action?
That's right.
Come on, hey, if you're going to get some, let me get some too. And that's how things are run in Africa. We need leaders in Africa that are incorruptible. I'm not saying that you need somebody who is perfect, but perfection does not exist in nature. Everything has flaws.
Yes.
Both natural and unnatural. Everything has flaws. But you need people that are more interested in the in communal health, in the health of the community, in educating the masses, because ignorance is not bliss. We're ignorant. We don't understand how the world works. We don't understand history. We don't understand why we should be doing what nations have always done since the beginning of time. How have other countries related to situations that are spiritual, situations about war, situations about economic downturn? Why is it that China, after its famine, said, never again? What did China do to become the #2 economy in the world? What is it?
Yeah, well, so the bottom line, as we end this program today, the bottom line is that all of us should understand that this is not something new that we're sharing here.
Yeah.
All of us need to understand that we play a role in our condition in the world.
We do.
Blame the leaders all you want. But if we're not taking responsibility, if we're not putting demands on them, we're not saying, okay, it's not working, let's try something else, and we keep re-electing them, we will have a problem. I want to ask every one of you, if you want this book, please post it and indicate that you're interested. I'm telling you, this is a very exciting book, Peerism or Age Group System of Government in Africa. I don't know if you can see it, okay? In Nigeria, this book was given to Murtala Muhammad by Ahaike Onyoha as a recommendation for how Africans can begin to elect people who are, who have the mindset, as you said, Judy, who have the Pan-African mindset. It is imperative that we change the way we do things.
One more thing real quickly, and then we'll conclude. I won't say anything anymore. A king without subjects is no king at all. You cannot hold the people at gunpoint that don't want to be held.
Yes.
Period. Yeah. We can reject the sort of leadership that we have right now. All we have to do is rise up in consensus. You can't kill us all. If you have nobody to rule, then you're not a ruler. If people say no, hit the streets and decide that we need our needs met. We need our needs met, and we insist upon it. There is no force in the world that can stop us from getting what it is that we want.
Yeah, and Adolha said here, and when the good cop speaks up, he or she is fired. Bad leadership therefore continues to flourish. But here's the thing: if the good leader is in place, right, in the police force, then these bad cops will not continue to exist. Exactly. Something here that Ikuna has written: in Nigeria, all the aspirants come to enrich themselves and family. I think embracing African spirituality and Pan-African mindset is the solution. I don't think we have had any leader with African spirituality. What we have had till this date are people that go to churches for campaign. As soon as they get there, to hell with the people. This is applause. Absolutely.
I mean, that just summarizes everything right there.
That it is right there. So I just want to say to all of us, we're going to continue this conversation. Please take the time and do your research and find out what role you can play as a member of society in electing people who would take care of our needs, not just people we want. Let us please pray. Thank you, Chineke, for this wonderful opportunity that you've given us today to share with each other. We are going to move our minds and our bodies in your perfecting presence. Right where we are, we know that you are. You are power that makes us powerful. You are love. We are loving people. You are peace. We are peace-filled. You are our truth. We are wrapped in your truth. We are manifestations of you, Chineke, the divine. Greater is your power in our minds than any condition in the world. Greater is your power in our bodies than any affliction in the world. Greater is your spirit in our spirit than any spirit in the world. Your spirit renews us, reassures us, reaffirms all that we are. All that we are, Chineke, you are. All that you are, we are. All that is neighbor, we claim. This is all that you have given us, and we claim it as our divine inheritance. Wherever you are, please say Ise, and Yagazie. Continue to bless you until we meet again next time. Yagazie.
Yagazie to all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.